everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today's hug is for you. We're diving into a classic story that's been told for centuries. One of Aesop's most famous fables, The Fox and the Grapes. It's a simple tale, but it holds a powerful lesson about how we deal with things we want but can't have. So, get comfortable and let's journey back in time. Once upon a time, on a scorching hot summer day, the sun beat down relentlessly on the fields and forests. A fox, who had been out hunting all morning, was feeling tired, thirsty, and incredibly hungry. He'd had no luck finding any food, and his stomach rumbled with disappointment. His tongue lolled out of his mouth as he panted, searching for even a drop of water or a tiny morsel to eat. He trotted along a dusty path that bordered a vineyard. The air was still and heavy with the heat. As he rounded a corner, a magnificent sight suddenly caught his eye. High up on a trellis, hanging in lush, heavy clusters, were the most beautiful grapes he had ever seen. They were a deep, rich purple, almost black, and looked plump and swollen with sweet juice. The sunlight made them glisten, promising a cool, refreshing treat that would quench his thirst and satisfy his hunger all at once. Well, the fox thought to himself, his mouth already watering. Just what I need. He imagined the burst of sweet flavor, the cool juice trickling down his throat. This was a feast fit for a king, let alone a hungry fox. His spirits lifted instantly. Forgetting his fatigue, he positioned himself directly underneath the most tempting bunch of grapes. He crouched down, gathering all his strength, and then leaped into the air with all his might. He stretched his neck and snapped his jaws, but he missed. The grapes were just a little too high. HMM, okay? He muttered, shaking the dust from his fur. A little warm up, that's all. He took a few steps back to get a running start this time. He charged forward, his paws pounding the dry earth, and launched himself upwards again. He flew through the air, higher than before, his nose almost brushing against the lowest grape. But again, they remained just out of reach. He landed with a soft thud, feeling a flicker of frustration. He could smell their sweetness, see their juicy perfection, but he just couldn't get to them. Not one to give up easily, the fox tried again, and again, and again. He jumped, he scrambled, he tried to climb the trellis pole, but the wood was too smooth. Each attempt ended in failure. He was getting more and more tired, and his initial excitement was turning into annoyance. The grapes seemed to mock him, dangling so tantalizingly close, yet impossibly far. After what felt like an eternity of fruitless effort, the fox finally stopped. He was panting heavily, his muscles ached, and he was covered in dust. He stood for a moment, staring up at the grapes, with a resentful glare. The beautiful, juicy prize that had filled him with such hope now seemed to be the source of all his frustration. Then, he did something interesting. He turned up his nose, sniffed disdainfully, and began to walk away with an air of complete indifference. As he sauntered off, he muttered just loud enough for any nearby critters to hear. Oh, I'm sure they're sour anyway. I wouldn't eat those old things even if they were served to me on a silver platter. Who wants sour grapes? And with his head held high, he continued on his way, pretending he had never wanted them in the first place. And that's where the story ends. It's a simple tale, but it gave us the famous expression, sour grapes. This story is a perfect illustration of cognitive dissonance, when the fox's desire for the grapes clashed with the reality that he couldn't reach them. He felt uncomfortable, so, to resolve that conflict in his mind, he changed his attitude. He convinced himself the grapes weren't worth having anyway. We see this in our own lives all the time, don't we? When someone doesn't get the job they wanted, they might say, "Oh, I probably wouldn't have liked the company culture anyway." Or if they get rejected by someone they admire, they might start pointing out that person's flaws. It's a defense mechanism, a way to protect our ego from the sting of disappointment. It is easier to belittle what we can't have than to admit we failed, or that we just weren't good enough. But is that the best way to handle it? The story doesn't judge the fox, it just shows us what he did. Maybe a better approach is to acknowledge our disappointment, learn from the experience, and maybe even find a ladder next time. It's a great reminder to be honest with ourselves about our feelings and motivations. What do you think? Have you ever found yourself in a sour grape situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching today. If you enjoyed this story and its lesson, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content. See you in the next video.